Welcome to my kitchen. This is Cooking Lean with Sandra and today we're going to be making a prime grade sirloin steak with a seasoned rub for the barbecue, a sweet potato in the oven, and a fresh tomato au gratin in the cast iron. It's all very simple. There is some oil, some olive oil, which is very healthy for you. It's really a very healthy dish. So I'm going to start with the sweet potato. I have them already prepped and ready to go. I love my knives. I'm really not too much into gadgets. I really like a nice sharp knife. So I've already peeled the potatoes. You can either do them peeled or unpeeled. I usually like them with the skin. My husband prefers them without the skin, so that's how I'm going to do them today. So I like to have a decent size width. You can cut them on an angle if they're very skinny to get them a little bigger. Like right now this is kind of small, but I would say about 3/4 of an inch on the overall diameter. When you cut them on the angle, when you get to the end, you lose a little bit of the potato though. And I like to get myself a nice big cookie tray. These are actually I got those online. They're just aluminum basic trays, very inexpensive. I like to line them. They seem to discolor and get a little funky after a while. They're very good for baking and things like that. But again, I like to line them. It makes it easier for cleanup. Because quick cleanup is very important. Okay. Just watch your fingers. I'm not a professional cutter, so don't go by me on how to hold a knife. Actually going to be taking a class on that soon. Now I lined it with a little bit of foil. I love my olive oil in a spray bottle. It comes out in a stream if you push it gently, or if you hold it hard, it comes out in a spray. Just got to be careful because when you do that, it ends up all over the place. And I just like to line the potatoes all along the tray. I've got my oven preheating to, this one's kind of small, 425, oh there it is, it's ready now. I like to cook with a hot oven. I don't do a lot of stovetop cooking, I would say. Mainly barbecuing and a lot in the oven, a lot with the cast iron. Of course, things do vary. And now for seasoning, very basic, very quick. Again with the olive oil spray. I like to do that over the sink. Just gotta watch my curtains. Give them a little spritz. This is a little sea salt. I don't use too much salt, but potatoes always need a little bit of salt. A little bit of fresh ground pepper. And you can even do this with white potatoes. I just happen to love sweet potatoes because at the end, when these are all done and crispy, at the very, very end, if you want a little extra treat, you can just throw a tiny little sprinkle of some brown sugar on the top and throw them back in the oven until it melts. And boy, now that's amazing. That's when you want to add a little sweetness. A few more calories, but it's worth it. And then a little bit of garlic. I use a lot of garlic powder. It's quick, it's simple, and we all like how it tastes. Of course, fresh garlic is, if you're making tomato sauce or other things, fresh garlic is the only way to go. These, very simple. Pop them in the oven. And they're going to go for they take a little while. So you want to do that on a nice fall or winter day when you need a little extra heat in the house at 425. It definitely creates a lot of heat in the kitchen. But they're going to go for maybe about 20 minutes, and then you got to flip them over, do another seasoning on the other side. Again, with the olive oil spray, you're not coating them with oil. You're just giving it a little spritz. That's all they need. They don't need to be drenched in olive oil. Okay, let me set the timer. Overall, they probably take about 45 minutes, I would say. Maybe even a little bit longer. It depends on how well you like them done. All right, now we're going to do the tomato au gratin. This is my cast iron. This is my little guy, because this is only for two for tonight. breadcrumbs here. I'll get rid of our potatoes. And we've got already cleaned and prepped. I've got some fresh garden tomatoes right here. With this one, I'm going to try some mushrooms. I've never done that before. I'm going to add some mushrooms, a small white onion. I like the smaller ones, they're a little sweeter to me. Now the first thing you're going to do is slice your tomatoes. Sometimes I like to switch up my knife. Nice, thin slices. I don't know how these tomatoes are going to be once I start to get to the middle, because they are fresh off the garden, and I didn't start my garden until later this year because I had some foot surgery. So they didn't do as well as they did last year. Just leave that out. Of course, they don't have to be fresh from your garden. They could be any tomato. I only came up with this recipe last year because I had so many tomatoes. I planted a tomato bush, a tomato plant, never in my life, in a flower garden on the south side of my house where I got blazing sun. And it's called a big boy tomato, and oh my gosh, I had so many tomatoes and they were all amazing. So I'm a little disappointed I did not get that this year, but I had them last year, so maybe next year. And again with the little yellow tomato, a little small yellow onion, very thin. Now onion and me don't agree too much, although I love it. I can't have too much of it, so I like to slice it very thin so it almost melts away. Because I do enjoy it, I just can't do too much of it. Other than that, there's not too many foods that I don't eat. And like I said, I've never done this with the mushrooms, so this is new to me. I'm going to give it a shot. I know they get a little watery, but so do the tomatoes. Okay, that should be enough tomato, enough onion. And so we've got our tomatoes, we've got our onion. I'm not even sure how I want to slice these yet. Let's first take off the caps first. I think I'm just going to go just like this. Let's try this knife. These are all going to be layered. And you think, you know, layering, cooking in the oven, you're going to end up using a lot of oil, accumulate a lot of calories. But again, with my little olive oil spray, you need very, very little. A little goes a long way when it's distributed properly throughout the food. Of course, you can pour it on and it would, I'm sure it'll still be amazing. Everything tastes better with more oil and fat, but this way you get the nice fresh flavors of the food too. And one more. For this, I like them nice and thin. Figure I'll follow suit with the mushrooms, being I'm doing that with the other ingredients. Okay, I'm going to save a little bit of this tomato because there's still some juice on that. Might need that for something else. This one is done, and I like to save things in little sandwich fold bags. Makes it nice and easy. They're not too expensive. Stores away, closes everything up nice and tightly. Especially the onion, they can start to smell in the refrigerator after a while. I like to give it a nice twist, seal out all of the air. And it keeps them fresh for a couple of days. Okay, so now first thing I'm going to do is give the bottom of the cast iron a nice little spritz. The cast iron is nicely seasoned. It's already going to have a little shine to it, which makes it non-stick. So just one little spritz. Okay. I'm going to line the tomato on the bottom first. And just single layer is fine. Go for a smaller one right here. Okay. And you know what? I'm gonna go for the mushrooms next. Usually I go for the onions, but being I'm adding the mushrooms, single layer. Don't stack them two on top of each other, because then it gets too thick. I'm sure you could if you like. It'll just have a little bit of a different flavor and texture. Well, not so much flavor, just a different texture in it. I like it a little well done. Okay, and then just a little bit of onion. Spread that out. And like I mentioned, I don't like to go too heavy on the onion. Okay, now we add our spices. Haven't done this since last year, so I'm just going to check my cheat sheet. Okay, onion slice thin. I did forget one thing. For this recipe, I like to use the butter spray, not just the olive oil, because the butter spray, I know it's imitation, but it has a nice little flavor that it adds to it. So after I do this, I add a little bit of the butter spray, just a couple of sprays. Again, with the salt, pepper, garlic, a little bit of sea salt. Not too much on the salt, just a dash. I like the fresh ground pepper on this. And a bit of garlic. All right, not too much because you're going to be doing a couple of layers like this. Now, I like to add a little panko for a tiny bit of crunchiness. So it's just a little bit, just a little pinch, just kind of sprinkle it around. And it just adds a little bit of crunching. See, so that's what the first layer looks like. And now you can give it another spritz of the butter spray for the panko. Okay, and now we do the same thing. Right back with the tomato. And you know what? I may only get 2 layers, which I don't think I used to get much more than that anyway. And cut up little pieces and stick them in the ends and the sides. Okay, again with the mushrooms. I mean, you could try this with anything. Zucchini. Oh, I love fresh zucchini. My zucchinis didn't do too well in the garden this year. I got one gigantic zucchini. I thought I was just about to rip the plants out of the ground. They weren't looking too good at all. They had the mold, everything. And next thing you know, I saw a zucchini that was almost the size of this can laying on the ground, and it was perfect. It was the only zucchini that I got out of the entire plant. Actually, I had 2 of them, and that was the only one. Maybe I'll have better luck next year. All right, a little bit of onion, a little bit more.